quickness, he declared, was a well-formed, well-mannered young man, had taken easily to my letters and numbers. Tailors in Ceresa and elsewhere do have a little status. They enter the homes and intimate chambers of the great, conversing with them at fittings, learning their needs, not just in clothing, sometimes guiding those needs. Ours is a time when public display matters. Most times are, I suppose. At our cleric's urging, my father mentioned me to one of his patrons, a member of the Council of 12. Then the cleric wrote a letter to that same man, and matters were set in motion. I have a memory of my mother the morning I left. She saved a yellow bird from the cat. She chased the cat away, then turned and hugged me good-bye. I don't know if she cried. If she did, it was after I had gone. I spent 7 years with Guarino in Avenia. There is a bust of him now in a palace courtyard there, outside the rooms where the school used to be. The school has been closed for years. Guarino is gone. My father, Gad defend his soul, is gone. Many of those who mattered in my life are. It happens, if you live long enough. In that school in Avenia I lived through and left my childhood. I learned to write with skill, not merely competence, to speak gracefully in good company, and debate with clarity, to deal with weapons and the new form of accounting, to sing, with less grace, in truth, and to ride and handle horses, which became my joy in life. I learned to address my betters properly, and my equals and inferiors also properly, and to do so with at least an illusion of ease. I was taught something of the history of Batiara and of events in our own time, though we were spoken to carefully as to that last, because certain things were not said even at the school. Towards the end I was helping with the younger students. I was in no great hurry to leave that sheltered place. Some of us learned to read texts of the ancients. We learned of Sarantium in the east, the city of cities, what it had been 1,000 years ago, what it was now, and how the Asherites, the star-worshippers, threatened it in our time. We heard tales of emperors and charioteers. Those languages and stories of the past, along with access to Avenia's palace horses, were a good part of why I stayed with my teacher longer than most. Those things, and loving him. I had begun to think I might become a bookseller and bookbinder at home in Ceresa, where the trade was growing, but Guarino said I was suited to serve at a court, to use and share what he'd taught me. He regarded that as part of his task, sending men and sometimes women into the world to have an influence, guide others towards a better way to be, during a time when violent men were ruling and warring through Batiara and beyond. Time enough to make and sell books later, he said, if you decide you want that. But first, take a position where you can give back some of what you have been given here. He'd written a letter to an old friend, which is how Morani di Rosso and Malaysia came into my life. Morani offered me a position at the court there. The beast's court. We make our own choices, sometimes. Sometimes they are made for us. I've thought often about what my life might have been had I gone home to Ceresa instead and opened or joined in running a bookshop. My cousin Alviso had just started one alongside one of the smaller canals, but Alviso hadn't been to the celebrated school in Avenia. He hadn't had that gift in his life. Opportunities given are responsibilities. They taught us that. So I went to Malaysia. There were, and there are, bad men ruling some of the larger and smaller city-states of Batiara, but I don't think many would dispute that Uberto of Malaysia was among the very worst in those days. It was interesting, I suppose it still is, how vicious men can take power and be accepted, supported by those they govern, if they bring with them a measure of peace, if granaries are full and citizens fed, if war doesn't bring starvation to the walls. Uberto was a man who had sealed an enemy in a cask to see if he might observe the soul escaping when his prisoner died. If men and women are to be killed, we want that to happen.